Hey guys, and welcome back to, should I say, another episode? I'm not even sure, but welcome back to those of you who would have viewed the first video. To those of you who are new here, trust all is well, trust all is good. And of course, at the very beginning, I want to make sure that I put up my disclaimer. This is not sponsored content. I am not advertising for anyone or for any corporation, business, or anything. It is just me being the bearer of good news and, just providing some information because I feel like it is something that I would have wanted when I initially got on the journey of becoming an Ireland Fellow. So there are 3 stages of the process, right, of the application process. And just so you know, applications typically open for small island developing states. The application process opens in June, July, thereabout. So one of the first things you want to do at the very first stage of the application is to peruse the list of courses that are offered. Yeah, which is easy. Hop onto Google. Everything for me is Google. So everything for you should be Google too. So hop onto Google and get that list of eligible courses. Mind you, it's a very long list. Almost anything that you can think about, like almost any area, any industry, you will definitely find a master's course or a master's program, I should say, on that list. So that's the first thing that you want to do. You want to choose your master's program, and of course, in choosing that program, you want to ensure that it aligns with, your professional background. It aligns with your country's need, your country's development priorities. So you want to look for an area where there is a need for that in your country, right? And then of course, Ireland's focus areas, typically, like I said, climate change, governance, sustainable development, education, and a whole lot more. Trust me, it's a really long list, so get a hold of the list. Then once you choose the program, so here are the steps. You want to, like I mentioned, check the eligible courses. You want to research the universities, of course. You are typically given 3 options. So you can choose 3 universities that you'd like to go to. And once you choose the 3, and you choose them and you list them in order of preference. Yeah? So your third choice, second choice, and your absolute first choice. So you list them in order of preference. So you want to check the universities, you want to check the structure of the courses, check out faculty if you need to go on LinkedIn and check who's in charge, check the profiles of the lecturers and doctors that will be, delivering the information or delivering, the course or the program. You check that, you check specialization areas as well. You do a whole wealth of background check the universities. Ireland is known for excellent and world-class higher education, but still check the universities to make sure that it is something that aligns with your preference. Because I remember going through the process, and I particularly did not want to live in Dublin, and so I did not choose any universities located in Dublin, simply because I'm a small island girl. I am not very fond of big city life, to be very honest with you. And so I've decided, let me choose an area like Cork or some other place that, kind of would remind me of home to some extent. That was my thinking at the time. Yeah. And then, of course, there were other things and other areas that I looked at first before actually choosing. But that was one of the biggest things for me, And then, of course, you want to ensure that you meet the entry requirements. Now, it is not the Irish Fellowship Aid's responsibility to check the programs to see if you are eligible. Yes, they will get to that stage, but the onus is on you when you're checking the universities and you're checking all the programs to ensure that you fit the entry level requirements, right? You don't want to have to apply, because remember, at some stage I'll get to where you have to apply to the universities at a later date when I post another video. But you don't want to apply and then you get a response stating that you did not fulfill one of the requirements. And so it kind of delays the whole fellowship process altogether. Yeah, so the onus is on you to do that. So also consider location and other resources, like I mentioned when I told you guys about my, did not want to be in the city kind of vibe. So yeah, so remember, you choose a course that strengthens your expertise, rather than switching fields. We spoke about that in the first video. If torn between two of them, well, choose what is most relevant to your most experience, right? Start researching early to avoid last minute stress because it's a process. Okay, so the form can be accessed online. Yeah, it's the pre-application form. Again, you can hop onto Google. I mean, we Google everything. So you can simply go on there and just Google the form. And what this form includes is basic information. So personal information such as your demographics, really your name, where you're from, your age, date of birth, that sort of information, a bit on your work experience, a bit on your career goals, a bit of background as to, why you chose that area, why it is you want to do that area, that sort of information. And then, of course, you'll explain, or get into details more as to why you want to study in Ireland and how it will help your country after you would have finished, right? So that is where the expression of interest comes in. So you want to pack all of that information in there. I cannot remember if they gave a word limit. I believe they do. But of course, when you're filling out the form, that will be on the form, right? And then, of course, you submit before the deadline. The deadline is typically, so whilst the application process opens in June, July, the deadline is typically August, bordering September, thereabouts. So if you're interested in, and sometimes people get a little confused with that. If you are interested in doing the master's program, starting in 2026, which is September of 2026, it therefore means that you need to get on board and start applying in June, July of this year, 2025. Yeah, because it's like you have like a cycle of a year. So the process, you go through that process, the application process, for like about almost a year before you actually get in. Yeah, because I think the process ends sometime in March or April, and then there's the waiting stage of waiting to see if you actually got through, and then having to pack up everything and leave, right? So you submit before the deadline, like I said, which is sometime in August or September. And then once you submit, I think typically you give them like about a month, and then they will tell you about a month or 2 months, they would let you know. So it's sometime in like November, early December, then they would you will get that email which communicates whether or not you've been successful, or whether or not perhaps you weren't successful and maybe that just wasn't your time. But chances are you are going to be successful, because we're manifesting and affirming success all of 2025 and beyond. So that's it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to touch on stage 2 and 3 of the application process. And like as usual, share this with someone who would have been speaking to you about, wanting the opportunity, wanting to further their studies. And if you yourself is interested, then you know what to do from here on out, right? So until next time, thank you for watching. Bye.